Hi Yogi, and welcome to another Slow Flow with me, Oceana. This particular episode has been a request from my long-standing student Joanna, who specifically asked for a flow that works towards better digestive health. And once again, it has sort of inspired a whole series for me. So over the next 5 weeks, I hope you'll join me as we look at the 5 elements of yoga and Ayurveda, starting of course today with fire, Agni. And Agni is very much connected to Manipura chakra that sits at the base of the rib cage in the solar plexus. So you can almost imagine that as you breathe in, that the diaphragm descends, and it's almost a sense that that breath is stoking the fire beneath it, allowing the flames to grow a little bit bigger and stronger. It's also very much connected with our digestive fire. So not just the ability to digest and metabolize our food and send it out into the cells of our body, but also to digest stuff that happens to us in our life and to sort of burn through that stuff and let it go over time. It's also thought very much that Agni is sort of the thing that really gives us the drive and passion to go after the things that we want in life. So over time, as we grow a little bit older, we tend to find that that fire is a little bit harder to get going. And in today's practice, for that reason, you will find a lot of twisting. Of course, if you have very fast metabolism, you'll want to stay a little bit lighter on the twists. And a lot of core work to really build that heat in the body. You will need 2 yoga bricks and a block. If you don't have those, of course, as always, I will link a video here for you that shows you how to substitute them with stuff you have at home. And once you're ready, we'll be starting in a kneeling position in the center of our mats. We'll be opening this practice in hero pose virasana, and because we'll be there just a little bit longer than we normally might be, I would suggest that all of us, regardless of experience level, stack 1 if not 2 bricks underneath the sitting bones. So just as a reminder, virasana usually requires us to have the knees hip distance and then to lower the sitting bones between the feet all the way onto the floor so that we can sit with a tall, long spine. But for most of us, that is quite uncomfortable on the knees, shins, possibly the feet as well. So you'll slip your bricks or books one after the other underneath your sitting bones, making sure that your seat is fully supported here and you have the hips quite a significant amount higher than your knees. If you arrive here and you're already feeling that pressure on the tops of the feet, shins or knees, then you can lean to one side, extract one foot and lean to the other to extract the other foot. You'll have the feet as wide as your mat with the toes pointing out about 5 degrees. And in this supported version of Malasana, yogi squat or garland pose, more accurate translation, you can relax your forearms onto the knees here, really find that tall spine. Or some of you might prefer to have the hands in prayer position in front of the chest with the elbows pressing into the inner thighs very gently. So choose your seat. And then, if you can, relax the hands as much as possible. Close the eyes if that's comfortable. Find the weight of your body in the sitting bones. Really take a moment to feel that you're fully supported. Otherwise, make the adjustments that you need to. Give yourself a few rounds of breath to really make sure that the breath is relaxed and settling into its natural rhythm. And allow the mind a few moments to sort of settle into the idea of practicing and staying focused for the duration of this class. And while you do that, I'll talk you through a breathing exercise which we'll use at the beginning of our practice to sort of stoke that inner fire. It's usually referred to as Kapalabhati breathing, which is the breath of fire. So essentially the most important thing is that we are not going to pay any attention to our inhale. The inhale is going to happen automatically. We are really focusing on doing a very sharp and forceful exhale. And we're going to do that by contracting the abdominal muscles in either slow or quick succession. So if you have very recently had lunch and maybe you had quite a big lunch, you'll want to go a little bit slower. And if you are pregnant, you will want to skip this entirely. So we'll be all of us taking a really big deep inhale together. We'll exhale a third of the way. And then for the first round, we'll just do 9 very slow pulses. And we'll do a second and third round where you can go up to 18 exhales. So we'll take a deep, deep inhale together. Turn the palms down, rest the hands on top of your thighs. Exhale just a third of the way. And then contract your abdominal muscles and exhale. And we'll do that 8 more times. Exhale all the way, then take a deep full inhale. Take a couple of rounds of breath here to let yourself relax, let the mind soften. And to come into the second round, of course, you could skip these if you prefer, but take another deep inhale. Exhale about a third of the way, and then see if you can get up to 18 exhales here. Exhale all the way, then take a deep, deep inhale. Allow yourself a few rounds of breath between each round. And then we'll do that just one final time. So we'll take a deep, deep inhale here. Exhaling 1/3 of the way. And then finding that rhythm as fast or as slow as you would like to go. Exhaling all the way at the end and taking a few deep rounds of breath. Gently blink the eyes open and focus on a fixed point directly on the floor in front of you. Allow your attention to come back into the room before you lift the eyes to the space directly in front of you. Now from here, we'll hold our left wrist with the right hand, palm flat, fingers together. We'll circle the hand a few times in one direction and reversing that direction a few times. And then we'll move on to the second side. So left hand around the right wrist, circling the right palm a few times each way, reversing when you're ready. We'll do the same thing with the shoulders. So start by circling the shoulders back a few times, really expressing through the whole movement. And then going forwards a few times. We'll take the whole of the arms with us here. So swimming as if you're doing a really big butterfly breaststroke a few times, moving forward. And then taking the arms back a few times, really expressing through the front of the body. Next time that you reach the arms up and overhead, really lengthen through the fingertips. Turn from your belly button towards the left side as you exhale. Release the hands down and do that 2 more times each side, inhaling to come up. Exhale over to the right. Inhale through center. Exhale to the left. One final time, moving over to the right side. And let the inhale float the arms back through center. Exhale to release the hands down by your side. Grab hold of your yoga block. Now we'll have the palms flat here, fingers together, pressing the hands into each side of the block with the block on the longer setting, and press the block forward and down. So you're really allowing the space between the shoulders to widen. You're squeezing the hands into the block and also drawing your lower rib cage in towards the fronts of your hip points. So you're really creating a strong connection at the front of the body and lengthening the lower back and sacrum towards the floor. Stay for your final 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then same thing, but go to shoulder height. Really press that block away from you. Squeeze the hands towards one another. Stay for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. This time, take the block above you, but see if you can avoid arching the spine. So again, maintain that connection in the front of the body, which might mean taking the block a little bit further forward for some of you. And then press as far up as you can. Again, staying for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the block back to the first position. Lower it towards the floor. Find that connection in the front of the body, really pressing the shoulder blades away from one another, squeezing the hands in for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lifting to shoulder height, really pressing it forward and away from you. Staying here, breathing, finding the connection in the front body for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lifting it above the head, really pressing it away from you, reaching the ribs and hips towards one another, squeezing the hands in, stay, and press for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And final round here, you'll be happy to hear your arms are probably on fire, just as mine are. So press that block towards the floor, squeeze the hands in, find your alignment for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lift it to shoulder height. Again, engage the abdominals, reach the block away, stay for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Final time, coming above the head, really lifting up, squeezing the front of the body, lengthening the back body. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release the block over to one side. Give your arms a really rigorous shake out after all of that. And from here, you can remove the blocks from underneath you. Plant them somewhere at the front of the mat where you'll need them later. Make sure that your knees are hip distance, and we'll just do a little bit of a warm up for the spine here. So on an inhale, rise onto your knees, reach your arms overhead, lengthen the front of the body. On an exhale, take the hands to the back of the yoga mat, round the forehead towards the knees into a rounded child's pose. We'll just repeat that a few more times as you inhale, lifting up, sweep the arms overhead. Exhale to round down and back. Do that just a few more times, moving with the length of your own breath. We'll make these our final 2 rounds. And when you're done, come to sit on top of your heels. Inhale to lengthen the arms up and overhead. For a moment, interlace the hands above you. Press the palms up towards the ceiling. Really reach through the shoulders. Again, tuck the front of the body in. Lengthen through the sides of the waist. Drop the shoulders down. Turn from your belly button towards the left side of the mat. Release the hands down into the twist. Inhale, lengthen up through center, and exhale, going over to the right side. Inhale to reach up. This time, interlace the hands the unusual way. So go one pinky finger over. Spin the palms towards the ceiling. Again, find your alignment. Really press the hands up towards the sky. Ground down through your sitting bones. Lengthen the back body. Soften the shoulders. This time, turn from the belly button to the right side. Release the hands as you exhale. Inhale to float up, come through center. Exhale to the left. On an inhale, come back through center. Plant the hands at the front of the mat. Briefly coming into tabletop here, tuck the toes under and send your sitting bones up and back into downward facing dog. Feel free to keep the knees bent. Maybe have a little walk, pedal the legs, shimmy the hips. Ease into your first downward dog here. Let the body just adjust to that slight inversion where the heart is above the head. Opening into the back body. Maybe finding a few moments of stillness here. And then take the eyes forward towards the hands. Walk or step the feet to the front of the yoga mat, feet hip distance when you arrive. Lengthen the spine, hands on the shins, reach the crown of the head forward, the hips and shoulders back. And exhale, fold back into the legs. On an inhale, round through the spine, stacking one vertebra on top of the next, allowing the shoulders and head to be the final things to lift up. And when you arrive, giving yourself just a moment to really let that shift in gravity happen, to settle your breath and blood pressure, and pick a focal point directly in front of you. Now, initially, I'll show you this facing forward to begin with. We'll take Kali Mudra, so we'll interlace the last 3 fingers, we'll point the index fingers forward and then cross the thumbs. From here, lift your fingertips up towards the ceiling, really lengthen through the entire body, create space. Again, tuck the rib cage in towards the hips so that you're lengthening the back of the body. On an exhale, lean over towards the left side, really pressing into your right foot to keep yourself grounded here. Inhale, come back through center, lengthen upwards, and exhale over to the right. Again, see if you can really press into your left foot and keep your armpits in one line. Find that connection in the front of the body. And inhale to come back up through center, lift up through the fingertips. Shift your body weight into the right leg as you pick up the left knee and flex the foot. Take your right hand to the outside of the knee, let the left fingertips reach back. Maybe keep your eyes forward on your focal point. If the balance is easy, let the eyes drift all the way back to your back thumb. Spin the chest open to the left side for your final few moments here. Still breathing, still lengthening the spine upwards. And slowly take the eyes forward as you reach the right fingertips in front. Cartwheel the arms as you step the left foot all the way back. Let the left hand land underneath your left shoulder and reach the right fingertips up in the opposite direction. Squeeze your outer hips in towards the center line. Spin the chest open, lift the eyes towards your top thumb if there's no neck issues. Otherwise, keep the head between the collarbones. On an exhale, spin your top hand all the way back and down. Frame your front foot and grab hold of your bricks on the highest setting either side. Now, press the hands down into the bricks, press your left heel back. Let the hips come forward and down as you roll the shoulders back and lift through the center of your chest. Almost finding that sort of arched position of your upward facing dog. Opening the front of the body. Letting the shoulders be soft. And when you're ready, exhale to lift your hips up and back. Maybe the front leg stays bent or starts to straighten. And you could choose whether you want to stay here in traditional pyramid pose with the crown of the head reaching forward, a long spine. Possibly some of you might like to soften the elbows and start to fold forward over your front leg. And again, some of you might like to, create a little bit more fire in the belly. So you press down into your hands, let the spine round. Flex the right toes towards your face first and then possibly hover the entire foot off the ground and find a few breaths there. Feel the burn, feel the strength of your legs and arms supporting you, and then plant the foot all the way back down. Bend your front knee just briefly wherever you are so that you can spin the back heel down. Step the back foot in as much as you need to. From there, plant left hand back onto the brick. On an exhale, lift your right fingertips back up towards the ceiling into revolving triangle pose, Parivrita Trikonasana. Spin your top hand down and back. Maybe grab hold of a piece of fabric or the opposite hip behind you for a half bind. It really allows you to roll the right shoulder back, lift through the center of the chest, and then remind yourself to press into the outer edge of your back foot, the front big toe, connecting yourself back to the ground. Release your top hand back to the brick. Rebend your front knee. Shimmy your back foot a little bit further back and inhale to windmill the arms and find warrior two. Soften the fingertips towards the floor. Really reach and lengthen through the knuckles. Let your eyes drift over your front middle finger. And then reach your thumb and index finger towards the ceiling. Bend your other three fingers. Really focus something between that index and thumb. And then reach your back hand forward. As if you're going to tighten a bow here. You're going to pull the left hand across the chest until you reach the left armpit. On an exhale, lean back. Aim your arrow towards the sky. On an exhale, release it. Take the arms forward and back. Spin the thumbs up towards the ceiling. Reach the hands apart. Turn your back toes out, heels in to find horse stance. Plant the hands to the inner thighs. Fingertips turn in. Let your sitting bones descend, but find a little bit more length through the spine. Press into your hands here. On an exhale, take your left shoulder forward. Look over the right. Inhale, come back up through center. Exhale, right shoulder forward, looking over the left. And we'll do that 2 more times each side. On an inhale, lifting through center. Exhale to twist. Final time, moving with the breath here. When you come back from the right side, your left side, we'll meet in the center. We'll reach the arms out. We'll turn all 10 toes to the back and take the bricks with us. Finding a runner's lunge at the back of the mat. Now, yogi's choice, you could step into a child's pose or downward dog for a little bit of rest. Or if you prefer to come through a vinyasa, plant the hands underneath the shoulders, step your left foot all the way back. Hover just for a moment in your high plank position, press the floor away. Lower the knees, tuck the elbows in, let the chest travel forward and down as you come all the way onto the belly. And then roll the shoulders back and arch the spine into Cobra Pose, Bhujangasana. On the exhale, press back via your knees to downward facing dog and we'll eventually meet there. Staying for a few rounds of breath to really find our alignment, pressing into index finger and thumb, sending the sitting bones high. Taking the eyes forward between the hands, either walking, stepping or jumping the feet to the hands. Arriving with the feet hip distance. Inhale to lengthen the spine halfway, crown of the head growing taller. On an exhale, keep the spine long and fold back into your legs. On an inhale, round the spine, stack the vertebra, making your way up to a standing position, shoulders and head lift last. And when you arrive, just giving yourself a moment to again pick out a focal point in front of you. On an inhale, lift the arms up and overhead, finding Kali Mudra. You interlace the last 3 fingers. That index, first finger points up. And typically, if you're a man, the right thumb will be on top of the left. If you're a woman, left thumb is on top. But depending on how you're feeling, a little bit more masculine or feminine today, you choose whatever feels right. And then you lift up through your index finger, lengthening the entire body, seeing if you can find that connection between your ribs and hips. So closing off the front of the body. On an exhale, taking that side bend to the left, keeping the shoulders squared off to the back of your mat. Not losing that engagement in the front of the body. And on an inhale, floating back up through center, lifting a little bit higher if you can, realign, and exhale over to the right side. Actively pressing into your left foot, squaring off the shoulders. Inhale, lifting back up through center, grow a little bit taller. Shift your body weight into the left foot as you pick up the right knee, flex the toes. Take your left hand to the outside of the knee. Take your right hand back into that closed twist. Now again, optional to keep your eyes forward at that focal point or to let the eyes drift back towards your back thumb. Find a few moments here to embrace that balance. Maybe give yourself a little bit of a smile, release the tension in the face and neck. And as you exhale, take the eyes forward, cartwheel the hands and step the right foot back, finding your simple high lunge twist. Lift the left arm up towards the sky. Press down through your bottom hand and squeeze the hips in towards the center line. Float your top hand all the way back and down. Place the hands on your bricks. Use the highest setting again here so that as you exhale, you press your right heel back. Generous bend on the left knee. You lift the chest and roll the shoulders back into this back bend version of your runner's lunge. Find a few moments here to actively send the breath towards your back leg, allowing the muscles to soften and lengthen. As you exhale, take your sitting bones up and back. Find pyramid pose towards the back of the yoga mat. So again, optional to stay with a long spine, with the crown of the head reaching for the horizon line. Maybe some of you would like to soften the elbows and fold over your left leg. And others, again, might feel that there's a little bit of need for more fire, more flame. And then you lift your front toes. You possibly round the spine so that you can float the heel off the ground, even catching a couple of rounds of breath here if you can, embracing the struggle. And when you're ready, planting that foot back to the floor, stepping the back foot in enough so that you can spin the whole heel to the ground. On an exhale, press down into your right hand, lift the left arm up towards the ceiling for revolving triangle on the second side, pressing actively into the outer edge of the back foot and the front big toe. Maybe top hand spins behind you for the half bind version so that you can really roll left shoulder back and lift the center of the chest. Maybe smiling upwards towards the sky. Generously bend your left knee, cartwheel the arms to find warrior two. Feel free to adjust the legs here if you need to. Generous bend on the left knee, tracking it over second and third toe, lengthening the knuckles away from each other to stretch the tops of the arms. Shoulders are soft, the eyes travel forward. And again here, left index finger and thumb point towards the ceiling. You bend the other three fingers on that front hand. Bring your right hand forward and bring that tension onto the bow as you pull the hand back towards the armpit. On an exhale, leaning back to lift the bow and arrow towards the sky, shooting the arrow away from you with intention. Finding your way back into warrior two. And turning your back toes out into horse stance, let the sitting bones descend. Slightly different here on the second side. We'll bring the right hand or forearm to the thigh. We'll reach the left arm up and overhead and ground the sitting bones to create length along the left side of the waist. Spinning the chest open, maybe even lifting the eyes towards the ceiling if your balance allows. Inhale, use your top arm, come back through center, take it to the second side, hand or forearm to the thigh, right fingertips reaching for the back of the yoga mat as you let the sitting bones drop. And then feel that burning sensation in your thighs as you spin the chest open, lift the heart towards the sky. On an inhale, find your way back up through center. Spin the hands down to frame your right foot, turn all 10 toes to point forward. And yogi's choice, again, step back, find child's pose or downward dog. Maybe come into your high plank to prepare for your version of a vinyasa. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, finding the back bend of your choice. And exhale to make your way back into downward facing dog. Stay for a few moments here. Find your alignment. Tuck your heels behind the toes. Spin the inner elbows forward. Press into index finger and thumb. Soften the shoulders. And then bend your knees. Take the eyes forward between the hands on an exhale. Either walk, step, or jump the feet to the hands. Let the feet be hip distance when you arrive. Inhale to lengthen the spine halfway. Create space. And on an exhale, fold back into the legs. Let the crown of the head hang low. Generously bend your knees on an inhale. Find chair pose, Utkatasana. Let the sitting bones descend down and back. Again, find that connection of the front and back body here. Draw the hips and lower rib cage towards one another. Maybe as you exhale, hands on the floor, or simply allow your sitting bones to descend so that you can slowly lean forward and find your way onto your seat. And from there, slowly one vertebra at a time, lowering all the way onto your lower back. Draw the knees towards your chest and lift the legs. Now grab hold of one of your yoga bricks, and you can choose to use the smallest or medium setting here, and place that brick between your thighs. So it sort of depends how wide your hips are really. Squeeze the brick in, flex your toes towards your face. Find Kali Mudra here with the index finger pointing up and crossing or interlacing the rest of your fingers. Reach the index fingers towards the ceiling. See if you can lift your shoulders and head off the ground here. Actively pressing the lower back down. See if you can float your tailbone and hips off the ground to increase that tension in the center of the body. And we'll pulse here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.5, 2, 1.5, 1, and 0. Release the hands down by your side. Remove the brick to one side as well. Walk the feet fairly close to your sitting bones. And then pressing the palms down either sides of your hips slowly as you inhale. Peel the spine off the ground into Setu Bandhasana, your half bridge pose. Interlace the hands behind your back and shimmy your way onto the shoulders if you can. Of course, you can always keep the hands down by your side. If you've interlaced the hands behind you, press your elbows into the floor, open and lift through the front of the body, squeezing the glutes and reaching the knees forward and away from you. Create that space and lengthen the front of the body and stay for a few rounds of breath, closing the eyes if you'd like to. Release the grip of your hands first, slowly coming onto the shoulders, allowing one vertebra at a time to come back to the floor. As you bring the knees in, squeeze them towards yourself. Give yourself a little bit of a counter posture by lifting the head and shoulders off the ground, rounding the forehead towards the knees. Then release the shoulders and head back down. Have a little rock from side to side, swaying the head in the opposite direction to the knees, so that you give the back of the body a little bit of a massage, a little bit of a twist of the spine. When you're ready, bring the hands to the backs of the knees. Use the lower legs to build a little bit of momentum, rocking forwards and back. Eventually find your way into a seated position, preparing for meditation practice. So, of course, you can always have your legs crossed. The ankles, heels could be in one line. If you're doing that, I highly suggest that you do sit on something. And personally, I'm going to come back to the posture we did at the very beginning of practice on top of my two bricks here, our hero pose, Virasana. And once you've sort of decided where you're going to go, set yourself up Let the hands rest for a moment in your lap. Find the weight of your body in your sitting bones so that you can lengthen the spine towards the ceiling. Soften the shoulder blades. Let the chin tuck in just a touch so that your forehead and chin are in one line and the back of the neck is long. And we'll take Matangi Mudra here, which is very similar to Kali Mudra, but you keep the middle finger pointing forwards and interlace all the other fingers. So it looks a little bit like you're flipping people the bird, but not quite. And then you will take the heels of the hands to the solar plexus, which is just at the base of your rib cage here. Let the heels of the hands rest there, which should allow you to soften the shoulders a little bit more as well. And then close the eyes if you can. Give yourself just a few moments for the breath to settle in. Come back to the natural rhythm of your breathing. So let go of any pranayama practices that you might still be holding on to here. And within the cavity of your mind, within that dark space, see if you can visualize or paint the picture of a red triangle that's pointing downwards. And if you've got that, then see if you can actually direct that triangle a little bit further down all the way into the solar plexus diaphragm. So that space just behind your lower rib cage where the heels of your hands are resting. And you can imagine that as you inhale, that triangle is gathering more energy in. And as you exhale, it's directing that energy towards the rest of your body. The red triangle being a representation of our own ability to empower ourselves, to build this fire, this passion that allows us to fulfill our dreams and desires. And you could simply stay with that visualization, or if you would like to add sound into the mix. And as you exhale, softly, quietly say to yourself or just internally, Ram. And we'll stay with those two options just for a few moments, a few rounds of breath. Thinking about that red, passionate desire emanating from the center of your body, feeding every single cell, all the way into your pinky toe, your fingertips, the crown of your head, to energize you. And we'll close the practice here by chanting a mantra 3 times in a row. You could simply choose to listen to me chanting it for you, or you might like to join in by calling it as a response. Om Chritram Swaha. Om Chritram Swaha. Om Chritram Swaha. Inviting Viveka, clear seeing into our lives so that we may know the path we're meant to be on. And then slowly bring the palms of your hands to touch in front of the chest. Bow the forehead towards the fingertips. If you wish, plant your sankalpa here. That positive thought or intention that guides this energy you've cultivated here towards something or someone in your life. Light in me recognizes the light in you. Namaste, yogi. As always, thank you so much for joining me in your practice today. Of course, if you have questions, let me know in the comments. If you would like to let me know how it went for you today, how you felt after this class, I always love hearing from you. And of course, if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, maybe share it with your friends, or hit the little bell button to find out when new flows hit. And of course, if you want to find me anywhere else, all of those links are in the video description below. I hope to see you back on your mat very soon, yogi. Bye.